senior counsel Mother Karua, and the best they could come up with was that she is a woman. And hiyo ilikuwa watu wa bodaboda, watu wamemjua, watu wamefanya. Let me average that age from to around 35. Okay, so I asked them if mother was a thief, since Kenyans kitu hatutaki ni corruption. So I asked them, do you think mother is a thief? And almost or all of them laughed and said no, that one she is not. So seriously guys, are we going to become like our parents? It's a different generation. What is eating Kenya is corruption. And everybody who was read about Mother Karua or followed her through history, anajua she has never been corrupt. Okay, she has never been accused by anybody, hata kwa political rallies, of corruption, hata rumors. You see, hata rumors. These politicians who bash each other kwa political rallies and all, none of them has ever said Mother Karua stole this, Mother Karua stole that. Yet he has called out everybody boldly. Ameita watu, amesema huyu ni mwizi, huyu ni mwizi, huyu ni mwizi. But the system has poisoned our mind to think that she is an enemy for no apparent reason. She has the passion to bring about a better Kenya, and maybe that's her life's purpose. Should she exit this world knowing well she has never accomplished her purpose? Would you be okay to do the same? Would you fight since 1992, since the 1980s in university for a better Kenya? And then somebody comes and tells you, we don't want you because now you are 66 years old. If that was your life's purpose, if that is what you think you are meant to do, would you be okay if somebody told you, now you are 66 years old, it's not okay for you to pursue? So what if she is to live for another 30 years? What if she is to live for another 30 years, and then that's 96 years, and she has not accomplished whatever she wants to do? She lives in another country with corrupt people, what she has been fighting her whole life. Anakuwa sasa ataishi for another 30 years watching the same thing because some guy thinks she should exit the stage. I think the system has turned us against activists in a very, very, very bad way. Okay, we need people like Mother Karua and Omtata and this other Senator Onyonka and maybe Boniface Mwangi in one pot. We need people to hold these big offices until we come of age. Those people cannot all be corrupt. Everybody likes one or the other. Maybe one of them is corrupt, but they cannot all be corrupt, and you know that. Okay, we also cannot give power to persons we meet on Twitter. Wamekuwa wakinunuliwa huko. Their track record on integrity we do not know. We know we can trace the track record on integrity for persons like Mother Karua and Omtata and Onyonka. You see, we can track, and they should come together also and form something good, since their purposes seem to align. We will be the ones to tell them who to include there and who not to include there, because they have track records. There are track records for everybody in the country. We can always follow that track record to where it began until now. Okay, and if they happen to fuck us up, we will still do them what we are going to do with the current government on Nane Nane. The power remains with us. Okay guys, about Nane Nane, if the guys who were killed mercilessly by even snipers, seriously snipers, during protests are watching from high heavens and we do not come out to finish what we started with them, we might as well have killed them ourselves. Okay, and to the current university students, if you do not come out in support of justice and accountability, mkimaliza shule pia nyinyi mkose kazi na mwanze kulia, sasa hiyo itakuwa shida yenu. So guys, make this reach every university student out there. University students, mtamaliza, sisi tulimaliza. We have been out here, we've been suffering. This is not our fight peke yetu. This is for you, and if we do not accomplish what we intend to accomplish, mtatoka. boys
Samahani.
graduating.
I think you're dropping off. I think you're dropping
Mnafaa
off.
kutokea. Yeah?
You're dropping off. Endelea.
Okay. Alafu still on the 8 subject. Mimi sitaki kuona mtu akikufa 8. So guys, if you are coming to demonstrations, if you are going to demonstrations, be vigilant. Ukisikia risasi, shuka ukae mahali uko. These people, some of them are animals. So if a bullet is fired, and please pass this to the other people. If a bullet is fired na umesikia risasi, shuka mahali uko, kaa chini. Makarao wakicharge na mko wengi, kaeni chini nyi wote, because when you start running, they shoot your backs, and that is how we lost Rex. May God rest his soul in peace. When they charge you, kujeni, kama unaenda maandamano, kuja na rafiki ama marafiki 10, it is enough if all of you mnashuka mnakaa chini mkisikia risasi. It is also our obligation to prove to our parents that we do not intend to ban this country. So we must be peaceful. We must prove to our parents, ndio watakuwa naona hizi vitu zote kwa TV, that alafu this is the propaganda that the government is feeding our parents and our grandparents at uko ushago, that we want to ban this country. I do not want to ban this country, and I've been to all the demonstrations, and I do not think any Gen Z wants to ban this country. So it is our obligation to prove to our parents that we do not want to ban this country. And how can we do that? Let's remain peaceful. So ukiona msee anaiba ama anarushia askari mawe, piga firimbi, shikeni yeye, peleka yeye kwa hao askari. Let's be civilized also if we want everybody to join our movement. Okay. And it is true that Mother Karua and her likes should join the movement, but it is our movement, and we can all and if we can all agree that we want them on board, then they should come. Let's be logical. They are the best persons who can lead us. You can drop names if you want, but the track records are there. The track records are there. If you sieve through the rumors and the accusations and the false accusations, you can also always find a clean, good record of all these people who want to become our leaders. So if we want people to become our leaders after this, we can always choose. After all, we the people can always take the power back, because the power belongs to the people. So thank you, Rabia. That's all.
Okay, shukran the other guy kwa maoni yako. Naona hujauliza swali kwa Mama Martha bado, lakini maybe tunaweza kusonga mbele. Huku tukisonga mbele tukumbuke kwamba kuna watu wenye wampoteza uhai, na vile tulianza huu space tulianza kusema tunachukua maelekezo au funzo kwa maandamano za Bangladesh, na kumbusho kwamba kwao waliamua kusimama kidete na ile maandamano yao, hawakurudi nyuma tena wala hawakulegeza kamba. Wao walipoteza hata watoto 32 kwenye hayo mradi ya maandamano, walikatiwa internet, yani hakuna mawasiliano, lakini bado walisimama kidete na walisonga mbele. Na huku tukisema ile twabeba tukienda maandamano ni bendera na chupa la maji na simu, tuongeze pia snacks, kwa sababu labda itakuwa ni 48 hours. Watu kama ni kukesha wako tayari na chakula zao, na wenye wako na biashara labda wasiwe na hofu kwamba wataibiwa wala chochote, manake kwa vile sisi twajijua, twajiamini ya kwamba sisi hatuna nia ya kwenda kuiba au kufanya uharibifu yoyote. Kwa hivyo pia ni ombi tunaweza kutoa kwa security agencies na friendly forces, wakuwe friendly pia kwa sisi, maanake sisi si adui. Ile lengo ni kujenga taifa na kuijenga pamoja. Kwa vile Mama Martha, labda tunaweza kupeana mic kwa dada huyu anaitwa Alicia, alafu tutaenda kwa MMS kwa mtafupisha, lakini maoni yenu na ile utatolea Mama Martha ili aweze kujibu inshallah. Alicia, alafu kisha MMS Square. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd like to start by a short preamble that says I really don't appreciate, and I'd like to disagree with the people that are saying that we should just leave the past to the past, because that past is influencing what is currently affecting us. These questions were asked but were never answered to the people. So this is a public forum that we are now able to ask, Martha Karua, the questions that some people felt like she never answered. Nane Nane is all about accountability, and it doesn't matter that people are asking for accountability for current issues with the current government or previous government. It has to start somewhere. If any previous leader were here, we would be asking the same questions. Martha Karua is not in government, but she served in a government, so I don't see why it's absurd that we're asking these questions. So I think 2007 is very important for the Nane Nane March, because these are the questions that we should be asking to every single leader. The other thing, now this is a question that I would like to direct to Martha Karua. I really thank you for clarifying everything that you, in your account that happened in 2007 and how we got there. And you said that both sides bear the responsibility of what happened, and that is very true. I think what people are asking here so vehemently is, why should they trust you now as an alleged voice of the people and part of the movement when you were part of what we considered an oppressive regime? It is very clear right now in this country that people who have held a position in the past, or powerful people, are the people who usually get positions. So it's very likely that after this movement, you might get a position. We want to know, why should we involve you and trust you in this movement? As part of this movement, when you are in government, you've answered most of the questions, and very well. I really think you've answered most of them very well, but I feel like you should answer as to why we should let you be part of this movement, because after all, you really would get a position if you're going to vie. And the questions about 2007, most people feel like they're not answered. Maybe this is not the right time to answer them, but I feel like at some point you should address all those questions, because your ethics do come into question. Like people are saying, Kibaki was sworn in darkness. Yes, in 2007, there was no requirement to wait because there was a vacuum in leadership. Yes, that is very true. But ethically, you should have held back until the voting populace was satisfied to swear in Kibaki. I think that is what led to the conflict. And I think that's what people are asking now. Ethically and morally, are they able to trust you as a leader? And about Nane Nane, I honestly think, maybe some people would disagree, but this is her country as well. I honestly think she has the right to show up. And if she does show up, it shows a very powerful statement, not just to the people who are there, but to the leadership of this country as well, which might be an illegitimate leadership, but to the leadership as well. I think it shows a very powerful statement that you are not going to support them. The last thing I would like to address here is that I think this is her country. She has a voice. Someone's voice cannot be taken away. She is a Kenyan. She has a constitutional right to speak freely, just as you have a constitutional right to speak freely. We cannot claim to defend this country and its great constitution and pick and choose who has rights if they are a law-abiding citizen. And we've seen that Martha Karua is really a law-abiding citizen who might have been caught up in, some very bad incidents. And I think that the last thing, or this is the very last thing I'd like to say, I would really like to applaud her for every single step that she has made. She has made changes in her alliances as the facts change. And I think that is a very important thing, even to us, that we should learn from. When the facts change, the opinions should change, your alliances should change. So Martha Karua was not only well within her rights to change her mind, she was also intelligent to do so. And that does not make her a horrible person that she changed sides or alliances. I think that is very something that we should applaud. Thank you.
May I answer this and get on to another appointment? Do I have the host's permission?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
you're
yes, yes.
audible.
We can hear you. You can go ahead. Rabbi anakusikia? Martha, can you hear us?
I can't hear her. I don't think she can hear us. But go ahead if you can hear us.
Senior counsel, we can't hear you if you're speaking.
Labda ama mpata simu labda. Mama Martha watupata?
I muted your mic. Please unmute if you're talking to us. Lakini labda amepata simu, atarudi. Endelea.
Okay, wacha tusonge mbele na Esquire. Alicia, thank you so much kwa submission lako.
Okay, thank you so much, Rabia. I think personally I won't speak right now because I really wanted to ask Mother Karua a question. Now that she can't hear us and she's not responding, I don't think my question or my input will be very relevant right now.
Okay, ni sawa, unaweza baki kwa speakers list, alafu kisha akirudi unaweza inua mkono, labda ampata simu. Tuende kwa KOT Don mwanzo. Karibu kwa mic.
Nasema shukran sana kunipatia hiyo mic kwanza. Nimekuwa hapa for long nikisikia hiyo story from the other guy akiongea. Nimekaa hapa nikisikia that girl Alicia akiongea, and what I can say I just want to correct the other guy. It's like you are advocating for Martha Karua, right? See, Martha Karua also has that history. She also has a bad history. So see it sasa kama yeye ni she's a woman and she's being thrown out of those seats, we should just advocate for her. Okay, so that's what I was saying first. And second, my question wanted to go to Martha Karua. Ile time after we dissolve that CS, there was this tweet that Martha Karua said that we are not boarding. Martha Karua, you said you are not boarding. What is it that you are not boarding? And what's happening that you can't come out and tell us? Juu kama uko na sisi unafaa kuwa tu unakuja hapa unatuambia yenyewe hiyo shughuli ilipigwa hivi, walisikilizana hivi. Juu naona watu wanarudishwa CS hadi sio watu wanafaa kuwa hapo CS. Unasikia Martha? So you should come out clearly, tell us what happened so that the other guys wakarudishwa kwa those seats and so on and so on. Thank you so much for the mic, Rabia. Thank you.
Shukran. Vi kama Martha umerudi. Mama ni kama bado hayupo. Western.
Rabia, thanks. I also wanted Mother to hear my submission.
Basi tutamsubiri. Sema kweli labda upo? Msema kweli? Okay, wacha tusonge mbele tena, labda Sigret.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. for giving me the space. I also had a question for Martha, but I also want to think that we are losing focus. Hii saizi tunafaa kuangalia nane ikoaje, the people who want to go to the demonstrations, how are we dealing with them? Inakuwa organic na wenye hawatafika watafika aje? Like we need strategies. Martha Karua tuko na yeye na whether we are going to be with her or not should be a question after we've known, after we've captured what we want to achieve, you know? I wanted to understand mimi kama mtu nimesupport Martha kabisa, and she has been talking about my community here and there, my community. What is her role in people from her place playing tribal politics? Anajaribu kufanya nini ndio arekebishe hiyo mambo? Because we've seen, like every other time, they are talking so much about this community here, anajaribu kuwapea funzo. Because right now, somebody like me, I'm from the lake, I'm doing all I can to tell my community that, you know what, we cannot be following this man hata kama anatupeleka kwa dustbin, you know? Is she actively doing something like that? Because this is the same people who we hear from history and its facts that they did, I don't know, some political odds. And I've not seen Martha come out clearly and tell her people, that this is not the right way to do it. Because if we are going to deal with tribal politics in this country, it's about people who have seen the light, going back to their villages and telling people that, you know what, we cannot continue like this, you know? Martha is somebody that I personally respect. I think among the political class, amejaribu kukua very, well, politicians have been very, very dirty, but Martha, I can give her. Of course, the 2007 image, nayo ime stick na sisi. That is something that Martha should know, that it will continue sticking in Kenyans' minds. She should be, if she wants to be truthful, she should be truthful as to say that in 2007, Kibaki did not win elections. That is the truth that she cannot run away from. And she knows. And me, I watched the television when Martha aggressively butchered justice in 2007. And right now, because we are now forgiving and trying to rectify, if she wants to be truthful, she should just come and tell Kenyans that, you know what, I messed up, but the truth is that in 2007, Kibaki did not win elections. That is the truth that Martha should say. That notwithstanding, Martha is somebody that will still have my respect as a Kenyan. I've seen what she has done. But right now, guys, let us focus on Nane. And the people who are, another thing that I wanted to talk about is Kenyans who are giving Raila Odinga platforms. Why are you giving Raila Odinga platforms? Yesterday, he went to Toy Market and people are clapping for him. Why are you clapping for that man? Huh? Why are people standing in Raila Odinga's crowds and still laughing with that man? Mbona hamfukuzi? Huh? Why are you people still entertaining Raila Odinga? That is somebody that should be deplatformed. Huh? Because a hijack movement yetu. He has legitimized a failed regime, and we are now here. Huh? Raila Odinga should not be given space ya kuambia Mkenya kitu yoyote. Anatuudhi sana, and I'm speaking as somebody who has actively hata kwa demonstrations zake mimi nilikuwa naenda. You know, I've supported Raila Odinga all my life since I became a reasonable human being. Huh? But saizi anaudhi, na kama mtu anaudhi tumwambie bro unatuudhi. Let's focus on what we can do to our people. Personally, nimeshachanga pesa yangu, nimetuma pesa mtu mwenye anataka kuenda. Let us see what we can do. Let us give tactics so that Nane should be successful. We should send a very clear message to the political class that we are about our business, and Kenya is our business right now. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Asante dada, na vile umemsikia kila mtu ajitayarishe, Nane inakaribia, so watu wako ready.
Host, I'm seeking time to respond so that I may leave the space to go to an appointment.
Okay, maybe kabla hujaongea kulikuwa na maswali kutoka watu wawili, tunaweza kupata kusikia hizo maswali zote alafu ndio ujibu kabisa. Ni sawa? KOT Don,
Martha, can you hear me?
Afro, go ahead.
Can Martha hear us? No, I don't think Martha can hear us. Weston, please check if Martha can hear you.
Hi, can I be heard? Mother, can you hear me?
Okay.
Well, I can go ahead regardless.
Wait, I think she's not hearing us. Because she's saying she's waiting to be given an opportunity to answer, but she's not responding when we're talking back. Hold on, Weston. I think let me drop her and then add her back again. Or let me first reset the space. Then if it doesn't work, I will drop another back. But Msema, go ahead as we are resetting the space.
So as we look forward to Nane Nane, I think we still have to continue to have a two-pronged strategy. We don't want Ruto must go. He may go the way of the Bangladeshi PM, but also he may go through an election. So whichever way, we have to be prepared for both. One thing we have to remember is there's a lot of good people, good intention, people of integrity in these spaces and in the country. And one thing that we've always known is because we view politicians as dirty people, so a lot of good people do not want to be politicians. The problem is when the people who are good people and people of integrity choose not to participate in politics, then we kind of allow the evil people, like the current crop that we have, a majority of them, to become our rulers. And then we complain that, oh, these people are like this. So why am I saying this? Is a call to everybody, everywhere, from MCA to MP to, it's not too late. Right now, the next scheduled election is in 2027. It may come sooner or change may happen in other ways. But right now, 3 years is not a long time. We need to have everybody, whether it's you who wants to run or someone that you know that needs to run, from every ward. We need to have thousands of people right now in every ward, at least several people going through, talking to voters, educating them, campaigning, running registration drives, all these things. That's the plan B. So if these other things doesn't work, then that one also needs to work so that we can be prepared for elections. Because whichever way, even if Ruto goes today, we'll need the elections to figure out what the heck happens next. So we need right now to have people preparing for that. What does that mean? Every one of us needs to be either running or having people who have integrity on the ground running for every seat in the country, from president to MCA to every elected seat. So that is the way we are going to get the civic education we're talking about, because you need soldiers, you need people of integrity. We need not to step aside and say, oh no, that needs to wait. No, we can do both. What is it called? You can you can walk and chew gum at the same time. So meaning we can protest for what is going on right now and at the same time be campaigning on the ground to be able to be preparing for elections and educating people. So for me, I would say anyone that wants to run, whatever it is, hata kuja kwa hii space, sema jina yako nini, how we can support you, details of how we can support you, what your message yako kwa ground. Kama wewe hutaki kuran, let's find people of integrity who are in your circles, let them encourage them, push them, let them be running for every seat so that when this next election comes, whether it's quickly or later, that we are prepared. Santeni.
Okay, asante. Mama Martha, watusikiza? Can you hear us? Afro?
Hey, Martha, can you hear me? Martha Karua, can you hear me? I think I have to drop her.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we are saying before you leave for your next appointment, we have two people who want to drop their questions real quick, and then you'll answer everything and just give us your closing statements. Is that okay?
That's okay.
All right, Weston, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Afrocentric and Rabia and all the people on this forum. Mother, you paid your dues. And Kenyans who are familiar with the history of the country cannot honestly contest that. But the issue is that in the aftermath of the Moi regime, Moism remained in place. Moi, the person, left, but Moism, as in the behavior that Moi used to exhibit, remained in place. And you didn't speak against that. For instance, the question is this. I would wish to know your answer to a remark by a former cabinet minister by the name John Michuki, who said openly that they were not fighting for a new constitution. They were not fighting for a reformed Kenya. They just wanted Moi out. And in that context, he was talking about himself and the people who at that time were referred to as the Mount Kenya Mafia, a tribal cabal surrounding Mwai Kibaki. So they were not interested in reform, in change, in a better Kenya. I wish to know your response to that. Secondly, when there was a task force that was formed, headed by one Professor Makau Mutua, to try and find out the mechanisms to establish Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission. When they submitted that report to Mwai Kibaki, who was the president and you are the justice minister, Mwai Kibaki turned down that task force report and said, no, the bygones are the bygones. There's no need to look into the bygones. It took the 2007-2008 post-election violence for a Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission to be established. And it could have been established before death. What did he do about it? Third, there was something called radical surgery in the judiciary when you were the justice minister. That process was adjudged as nothing more than a witch hunt. Some individuals who appeared before that committee were removed from the judiciary. They went to court, they appealed, they were reinstated because they argued that they had been hounded out on other consideration, could be tribal, be political, other than reforming the judiciary. You are party to that process. And the 2007 debacle, Mother, we are always told if we have female leaders, they are just more than political actors. They are also considerate people. Well, that's a stereotype. I do contest that, but that is usually thrown around. What sets female leaders apart from male leaders, that they've got a heart, they are empathetic, they care. In the heat of 2007 post-election violence, you stood firm and you defended what was clearly electoral theft, while women, children, and vulnerable people were being killed, displaced, maimed. You have never ever apologized to Kenyans to date. You've never. Recently, 2022, that ticket on which you were with Raila Odinga, it was not in the interest of Kenyans. It was a ticket that was backed by Uhuru Kenyatta, a person who had refused to implement the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission. In fact, he had pressurized some of the commissioners to delete the chapter on land, which had implicated his family. There was a lot of money in that campaign, and Kenyans were asking who was funding that campaign. And they were saying taxpayers' money were being abused. You said nothing because it favored you then. So Kenyans are asking that a person who plays hot and cold like you on matters to do social justice, democracy, the rule of law, inclusivity, and a better Kenya, you will play a role of a saboteur, spoiler, vis-a-vis the current debate. In fact, I put it to you, Martha, that William Ruto had to bring Raila Odinga and these other people into his government after you and other people held that Limuru thing, which was tribal. And he felt, no, going forward, I won't get votes from these people. Which people? Referring to the Kikuyu people. That gathering was seen as a Kikuyu gathering. And it made him to sit up, look, what do I do? Cynically bring on board Raila Odinga. Bring on board the people you campaigned against the other day. Now, these are the questions Kenyans are asking, and they're valid, and nobody should say, no, Mother shouldn't respond to this question, should respond to these questions. Because how many of you people have ever met a sitting president one-on-one? She has. That's how much power she has. She has been a cabinet minister. So when you come here and say, no, you're being unfair to Mother, or you want to speak for Mother, like, do you really understand what you're talking about? Have you ever met a president? Have you ever had a one-on-one with the president? Have you ever served in a government? So on what basis do you want to shut down people and tell them? And we don't focus on William Ruto as an individual. We focus on an establishment, an incestuous, self-reproducing establishment in Kenya. People today, they masquerade as opposition leaders. You wake up tomorrow, they're in government. They're denying the very, very things they said the other day. No, I didn't understand the hustler fund. Now they've explained to me, I now understand it can uplift Kenyans from poverty. Some of the people who were being vetted the other day were saying those things. We can't have political actors behaving like this. And that's why these young people, the youth, the Gen Z, and all Kenyans who are committed to a better Kenya, they will hold everybody to account, including William Ruto, Raila Odinga, Mother Karua, and everybody else. Because these people are powerful. They're not ordinary citizens. Raila Odinga is a cult figure. That's why people don't want to chase him away the way they would chase away Sakaja. But we're saying that's the politics we're fighting against. We don't have holy cows. We only want a Kenya where people are committed to ideals, to values, to the rule of law, to constitutionalism, and not to tribal politics, and not to individuals, and not to say Ruto is bad, Raila is good, or Mother is good, this other person is bad. No, you are good to the extent that your commitment to a better Kenya, to the collective well-being, is unwavering. Mother, I end by telling you that, do you know that we have never recovered from you and your colleagues who formed the government after Moi? One, you continue tribalizing the state and the bureaucracy, and we've never recovered from that. Secondly, the stolen election of 2007, we have never recovered from that. Going forward, anybody who loses elections will always cry that elections were stolen, because we have never sorted out that. Had Kibaki been a one-term president, we would not have any other problem going forward having one-term presidents. But because he refused, it's extremely difficult. Even William Ruto believes he cannot do a one-term because no one who came before him did a one-term. You did not midwife the bombers' deliberations that Moi had sabotaged, which was supposed to birth a new constitution. You did your own things, and we Kenyans were given something called a Wako draft, which was really polarizing. That referendum polarized the country, and it was a dress rehearsal for the 2007 elections, which naturally dissolved into civil war. Mother, do you own up to your contribution to the problems we are facing as a country? We don't crucify you. We're just saying in the spirit of honesty and transparency. We want a new Kenya, and a new Kenya means we own up to our contributions to where the country is, and we say we can begin from a clean slate, but we cannot pretend that we don't understand history. Revolutionaries who have no notion of their history are condemned to repeat the mistakes that were made in the past. We must appreciate history, where we're coming from, and what roles did this candidate, this figure, that politician played before we go forward. And therefore, I put it to you as I end. Mother coming here is important, is imperative. And we asking Mother these questions and raising these issues is completely imperative, is part of national healing. It's part of having a candid conversation that we don't have. We usually don't have in Kenya. We are for consensus. We are very scared when we differ ideologically. We're very scared. So, Mother, please, if you could just respond to those questions, because I see you as part of the oligarchy in Kenya and part of the problem. You can convince me otherwise. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mumbi, please make your question short, and then Martha will, senior counsel will answer, and then we can let her go to her previous engagements. Go ahead, Mumbi.
Okay, thank you so much, Afrocentric and co-host, our speakers and our listeners. I just had to shorten my question. Western has said a lot, but my question will be just a general one to senior counsel. Having served on the government side for about 15 years, you have significant insight in our country's governance. What is your perspective on why we draft, because coming from where we're from, we draft something like our finance bill in a place like Washington? Is it because we lack the expertise, or is there a deeper issue related to our colonial history that you could shed light on? And then, additionally, let me take a little bit of a spiritual perspective. You know, considering that our foundations were laid by early British colonizers like Kina Sabalin, Kina Evelyn Berlin. Do you believe that this foundation really influenced the belief that we are battling right now against these principalities and powers? Because up to right now, we see them putting their foundation till date. And you've been in the government. So me asking you, I feel like you could shed more light on this, because we see till date, they're still putting this foundation. An example is that they have really put a big and tall foundation at the roundabout of railway station, what we call and what we term as obelisk. What is your take on such things? I said I'm going to take a spiritual turn because as we are winding up, and from your own capacity and understanding, how do we truly emancipate ourselves from these ties to truly becoming independent and free from reliance on these IMF and World Bank? Thank you so much.
I hope you guys can hear me. Am I audible? I hope I'm audible. Thank you for your question. I also want to add on, just before she begins to answer, I want to paint a picture before I ask my question, because Martha Karua has had a career as a politician and a legislator for some time, and her having served as both Minister for Water Management and Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs in the Mwai Kibaki administration. In the 1990s, back then, towards 2000, she was a prominent member of the opposition political movements that successfully agitated for multipartyism. That led to the ouster of the KANU regime in 2002, if I'm not wrong. And in 2008, after the disputed 2007 general elections, that elections resulted to a widespread of violence across the country. And she led a team that literally negotiated power. And you guys can remember so well when we had the back then chairman of the AU, if I'm Kofi Annan, that came to Kenya to constitute the handshake, and I think that was probably the first time we heard of handshakes and so on. And you also led a team that negotiated that power sharing agreement between the opposition leader back then, Raila Odinga, Orange Democratic Movement, and now 14 years later, rather 15 or so years later, Raila would go back and pick you as his running mate in the 2022 general elections. So which was
Ruto and his peoples were declared the winners of the elections. Now, my question is, what was, and we saw what happened during the post-election violence, people being banned left, right, and center, people killing each other left, right, and all that. But now this movement has really stood up to, shun all leaders, because we've just learned that sometimes all leaders are all the same. So what will be the difference between whatever is happening right now with the anti-finance bill tax protest, and back then where we had people killing each other because of election disputes, and it had to take lives to be lost for you guys to initiate a handshake? And why the handshake? Why would we just say no, this election was wrong, and we are not agreeing to this? If we agree to this, we need to follow the constitution. The elections were disputed because people were not satisfied. Why initiate that handshake? And why now did we take time? Because this thing was not about Raila. The anti-finance bill was not about Raila. And you leaders just sat on the fence and did not say anything to say that, hey, this is not the way it's supposed to be. And now moving forward, that was my first question. And my second question probably could be, why are we sitting on the fence while seeing the government butchering the constitution? Why are we not speaking out? Is it because we only speak out when we have something to benefit as politicians, or we only speak out, we only don't speak out because we are not going to benefit anything? So my last question is, now the protests that have halted the government and has agreed to talks with Raila Molo Odinga, which for us it was a surprise. This was not about Raila. We told Baba to go back to Bondo and relax after he lost his bid with the international seat that he was looking for. We just wanted no talks. We wanted to do this our way. Why is it that politicians are trying to interfere with the protest that we are holding? We don't want talks with the government, but other politicians are like, no, we need to have talks with the government. What do you have to say about that from where you sit? Those are my only questions. Thank you.
Afro, can you allow me to ask a question based on, because all the people who have asked questions have asked about the past.
Please, 30 seconds. We want to release Martha Karua and we get back on topic.
I want to ask a question that is directly impacting on our future. Whereby my question is, what do you think, Martha, what do you think is the direct target of people like Imani Ichung'wah and the current government when they introduce the seed law, the Livestock Act, whereby they are selling they are taking loans on the fertile lands in the country? What impact will it have on our food security, our sovereignty, our independence, all these things? How will they impact our future if we lose our freehold titles, if the Livestock 2024 Act is enacted, if the seed law comes into play and we can no longer share seeds? How does this directly impact our sovereignty and our food security in the future?
Senior Counsel, are you there? Okay.
Yes, I will answer very briefly because there are questions I didn't put down. The two where a caller, therefore I can't remember the name because I didn't put down, was saying that Raila won and I should just apologize. I want to tell her that I differ completely. And I would refer everyone once again to what I said before and to the Kriegler report, an unbiased report which is a public document and is online. I do not know what better evidence she has. As a participant, I believe I also know the details of what went on. And even with the exaggeration on both sides, I genuinely believe Kibaki won. Online again, look for a Professor Troop from the US who did an analysis, and his analysis led to the belief that even with vote exaggeration, if you remove the exaggeration from both sides, Kibaki won. That's neither here nor there, because Kriegler says it's useless to ask who won. I can only apologize for the loss of life, for injured feelings, but not for anything I did. I did not do anything that I shouldn't have done at all. Representing Kibaki doesn't make me a criminal. An agent is an agent, and every candidate is entitled. And that's why I asked, how is it that I am wrong for being Kibaki's agent, but my counterpart Orengo is not wrong for being Raila's agent? That's a very biased way of looking at it. I'm sorry, there we have to differ. The other question I have been asked, I want to actually correct. I have not been in government for 15 years. I've been in parliament for a total of 20 years. 6.5 of those, I was a minister. 3 of them, Minister of Water, 3.5, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. So I've been more on the opposition benches than government. Those who want to know about me, check my tenure in water, see what I did rolling out the water sector reforms. On the constitution, I can just have bragging rights to say it is under my watch, within that 1 year of the coalition government, that we put in a law that helped to complete the constitution. And I did work as a backbencher to stop the mutilation of the draft before it was passed. In fact, Bandi now, who is been nominated CS Treasury, was one of my foot soldiers in making sure that we stop any amendment to the draft agreed on in Naivasha. So I would like to say I've been asked why our laws are written, our Finance Act is written in Washington. If you become a slave of the World Bank and IMF, that's where it will be written, because they'll bring for you a document which you must pass before they disburse money. The Kibaki government was 97% in the first term, 93% self-funded. Only 7% came from multilateral partners, not World Bank, not IMF. His second term was different. He borrowed from China, he borrowed from other places, but he was never, the Kibaki era was never a slave to the World Bank. The World Bank is here to make sure we never develop, we are never on our feet. It listens to America. It's driven by the big powers. And I do think that if we spend our money prudently, because finance is not rocket science, it's more of common sense. What do you do when you have less funds? You align your priorities and begin with them. You do not apply money on luxuries when you have priorities. What the regime is doing right now is applying money to sustain luxurious life and to continue encouraging theft of our money by a small group, ignoring essential services for the people. So the accountability this movement is seeking for is the answer. And there cannot be accountability without enforcement. It has to be made very expensive for anybody to go against the law. But we as Kenyans have a very big role to play. Like I said before, we man all the critical institutions. We are the ones who have bastardized through parliament, the vetting process, through EACC, the accountability process, through prosecution, and part of the courts, because the High Court has distinguished itself, and now sections of the Court of Appeal, but largely the courts, the justice system, and the courts are complicit. How did Raila pick me as his running mate? First of all, I say those who question 207, do you in your heart of hearts believe that if Raila believed I had helped steal his vote, he would have chosen me as a running mate, as a human being. Those of us who were involved know the truth. That is why we were able to work together. I didn't go to the Azimio camp because it was holy. I said quite frankly that both sides had baggage, but I could at least identify a few allies on the Azimio side with whom we would be able to push back those within Azimio bent on the old ways. I went to Azimio because one of the two sides was going to govern, and I was better off on the side that I thought would end up benefiting the people. And I always say I salute Raila because when picking me, he knows that I'm a person who will differ with him on certain matters. But he was bold enough to do that. Although today now he has disappointed me and us by going to the government side. The last thing that I was asked to answer, if you give me a moment, my whatever has closed because I need to answer it. Oh my, I'm not getting my notes. There's one last thing you asked. I have gotten it. The very last thing by Farah is why about the Agriculture Act, which is criminalizing farming and our seeds. This is going to turn us into slaves, worse than colonial times, and into food beggars. And you know, when we are food beggars, it means we have become somebody's robot. The Ruto government is a puppet of the West. The West want to stop us from using our seeds. They have an agenda of taking up the arable land, farming it themselves. When we plant GMO, our soils are soon going to be unable to grow indigenous seeds. That makes us dependent on seeds from the multinationals, which we can ill afford. This accountability that the movement is seeking is so crucial to our lives. Everything is going. Our minerals have gone. We've got to stop it. Our services have gone. You can see even the airport being taken. The last bastion, our farming, our agriculture, which is a mainstay, is what is going. No wonder Bill Gates came immediately, Ruto was inaugurated, to talk about GMOs. We have been sold, and now we are being sold as slaves. So it is very crucial that Kenyans push back. And it is crucial that everybody, we don't now just leave it to the Gen Zs, but we show up in support. Those who are asking whether, as a politician, I only talk when it is convenient, please follow closely any social space I am in. Myself, my party, we have been consistent in standing up for what is right, standing up for human rights even during this period, and standing up for anything wrong, pushing back the government for what is wrong. In 2023 as Azimio, in this year as ourselves, because we gradually became disenchanted with Azimio last year, even though we've only pulled out this time. So check and you will see who one is truly is. I want to thank you and to seek leave to withdraw to attend to other matters.
Martha,
It's been a pleasure
before you
and an
leave,
honor. Yeah.
just a question before you leave.
Yeah.
The other day you tweeted a tweet saying that you are not boarding after the CS were shuffled. You say that you are not boarding. There's a tweet. You are sitting on the table, you
Yeah.
and the other ODM members. So
Yeah.
what is it that you are not boarding?
Not ODM. Azimio.
So right now you are not in Azimio.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that.
We are in the process of withdrawing, but we do not issue joint statements, not even with Akina Kalonzo. We are now playing as NAC Kenya. They are not our enemies. Those who are against joining government are indeed our colleagues, but we are taking time to grow our party, individual parties, which was our agreement in January this year. But we definitely are not boarding on anything that works against the people.
Thank you so much, Martha Karua, for gracing this space with your presence and for the knowledge share. We have learned a lot. Personally, I've learned a lot of clarification of events that have happened in our history, 207, a lot of things we saw on the news, but you are there in person and you participated in person. It's good to hear it from your mouth as explained by you. Thank you for adding your voice to the movement. We have been having leaders come into these spaces and listen to us, and we're paying attention to those who are listening to us and to those who are hearing our concerns and are also giving us your advice in the same way. But thank you so much from the other speakers, and you can leave at your convenience, but we'll continue the space. We get back on track. It is really good sometimes when the Iron Lady is here. We have to understand that in some issues it's like eating a fish. You have to eat the meat and spit out the bones. There are some things she did we are not happy with, but there's a lot of things she has done which we have to accept. We have to accept this is good. We can't take it away from her. That's what she has done. She's a woman of principle. That we can give it to her. Akisema ni hivi, ni hivi. And she will resign in your face. And she's a Kenyan and she has a constitutional responsibility. We cannot be saying we want constitutionalism and then we deny other Kenyans from exercising their constitutional rights. So the sword cuts both ways and we have to listen to each other. At the end of the day, as much as we disagree, we have to listen to each other and we chart the way forward. Guys, the march is on. Nane nane. We're moving forward. We are gaining steam. And I'm telling you, hata hii conversation imetutoa kidogo kwenye the path, because hii mlima ya Ruto must go is tuna discuss hapa future leadership movement. No one will want to own this movement if we do not succeed. So this is the next 48 hours is critical, the most important 48 hours of our lives as Kenyans. We know this thing has grown, it has taken off X, it has taken a life of its own. Hata sahi tukikuja kwa hii space sema hii hatuendi tutashanga. This word has spread all over Kenya, thanks to you passing that voice from your neighbors to your family members to everyone. And now we just want to hear from people who are coming from outside the city. I hear there are buses rolling in, some people planning buses. I've been getting some messages in the comment section and also in my DMs. We want to plan that effectively. KOT is here. He's also overseeing a lot of logistics. He's going to share also a little bit about what's going on. Guys, Nane Nane is on. Nane Nane is on. Farah, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Sawa bro, shukran. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sawa. Bro, the sababu ya kumuuliza Martha the question on the seeds and the livestock bill and everything is because a lot of us are focused on our past, what happened juzi jana. Hawa watu wanataka kutuibia our future pia, whereby we are turned into slaves. Our country right now, majority of the conservancies are registered by a UAE company for carbon credits. For instance, Shompole Conservancy, which is past Magadi, on the other side is Masai Mara. All of it is registered under UAE company. Do you understand what this means? This means we cannot industrialize. Hatuwezi tukajenga industries that pollute the environment because we do not have carbon credits. We have exhausted our own carbon credits, and it's because the people who already exhausted their own, who are polluting the environment for a period of time because they have industries and they have companies and they have factories. are now buying our unclaimed lands, where the forested regions and the we still are and you people are still okay thinking that tuko na maisha as a country here. We cannot, literally, the Seed Act, if it's enforced, you cannot share seeds. You have to register as a farmer. And once you're registered as a farmer, you have to buy seeds from a certified seller. Meaning, hakuna mambo ya sijui wewe umeenda umeamua kulima eka yako 5, umeamua kulima eka 2, hiyo imeisha. Read the livestock bill of 2024. These people ni wenda wazimu, wanataka watu waregister mpaka makuku zao, whereby dume ya jirani ikikuja kwako you pay a fine because you're supposed to do artificial insemination. Mnaelewa kitu inaendelea kwa nchi? How are people not mad enough? You know, anytime you feel as though you're not angry enough, kumbuka kuna mtu alikuwa anagonga mlango anasema madhe nifungulie gate, and he was shot dead hapo kwa mlango yao. And you people you're not angry enough. How is the mother who was in that house supposed to live with herself? Because she couldn't, it's a matter of a minute kufika hapo kufungua gate, mtoto amepigwa risasi, na wewe unatoka kutuambia tuongelee 2027. How are you different from the person who killed that child? Because they are also talking about 2027. Our future, we are still being sold as slaves. We are just not the commodity. Our future is the commodity. Majama, honestly, personally, wakati yote kuna maandamano, I suffer losses, but wallahi niko tayari for the next, hata kama ni miezi 3 nisi earn. But after hiyo miezi 3, we live in a country that it belongs to all of us. How are you people okay knowing that you're barely making ends meet? Hospitals public hospitals are basically, they're empty, ni manyumba tu, hakuna madawa, doctors are not paid, they're all working in their private hospitals. A road, people, you people need to understand that there were generations that had problems. People were told to face kina Farao ambao walikuwa wanajenga pyramids. Our problem is facing people who cannot maintain roads, na nyinyi mnaogopa. As Muslims, we are told al-amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. You stand up for what is right and shun what is evil, what is not right. So for this country, mimi in case nane kweni yangu, I have two requests. Bury me in a flag and visit my mother, because this country either itakuwa yetu wote ama iumane.
Thank you so much for your submission, Rabia. Before you go, yes, the topic you talked about, the Seed Law Act and the Livestock Bill. It has been brought up on Spaces, but we have a little bit muzzled it because that is a huge topic on its own. That's a whole. It needs a space on its own. Pia kuna stories za mining, another huge topic. Rabia kwa hapa atakwambia stories za environment, pia hiyo ni space peke yake. So right now, what I've been trying to do is just focus, laser focus on Nane March and Ruto must go. Tukimalizana na Ruto, all these things we have to revisit. The civic education has already started. The awareness is there. Some of us are already reading these bills and familiarizing ourselves with what is actually going on and what these MPs had planned to literally sell the country and make us slaves again. In terms of that Seed Act, I couldn't even believe that they're going to patent each and every seed in the country. And once you plant, you'll have to be getting licenses to plant specific seeds in your own land, in your own shamba, imagine. So we do understand what's going on. The knowledge share is there. These spaces are happening. We are talking, and right now they are scared, and that's why Nane is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Paul Isoba.
Yes, the fire is burning. The fire is burning. I was dying to get that microphone when that brother talked about the the carbon credit, all the interference of the West. Bill Gates has been mentioned. We are under attack. Africa, we are under attack. Africa is very, very rich, but we have bad leadership. So the reason for Nanane March, Ruto must go as the beginning point to try to redeem ourselves from this madness. These leaders, they want to enrich themselves, okay, and their families and their children. And nowadays, it's no longer business as usual. It's not business as usual. If means to die for this, liberating ourselves as Africans, we must do. We are sick and tired of the puppets of the West being used to sacrifice us. They send that they are now Ruto has been advised to send our brothers and sisters abroad. Yeah, that is one of the reasons why especially the youth should come down. The Gen Z should come down. That some of them like their big ambition is to go and work abroad, and then so that will calm us. No, that's lie. That is false. Why doesn't he send his own children? Let him send his children and then leave us back home and develop our nation. We don't want to sell out the best knowledgeable young youth and send them abroad where we still need them to develop our land. Why am I very passionate about this? It is now or never that Africans have to fight back. You know, so this is a serious topic, as you say. There are so many topics that mine bills, genetically modified kind of system that they are trying to bring us. There's a lot to talk about, but number one thing, we must get rid of all these misleading leaders. Get rid of them, okay? And we shall not send away Mother Karua on this platform. Let her bring her number and let us give her a chance. Let her hear her out. We still need her number. We are not asking her to lead us in this. No, we are asking her to be part of this. Even these criminals, let them confess and denounce, and then let them resign now. And then we say, oh, Africans, younger youth have woken up now. We are sorry, we are misleading you, and we want now to hand over the responsibility to you. We shall sit back and give you guidance where we can. However, you take the steering wheel, okay, and lead us. Everyone is welcome on board in this Nane March because we still need their numbers. We need people to finance. We need supporters. We need resources, welfare issues, water. Everyone need to park their backpack with enough plenty of water, plenty of power bank. The Nane is to get rid of Ruto must go fast. And if he's not left, even if we stay there for 1 month, it is going to be worth it. And I guarantee you, numbers are a very, very important thing. With numbers, even those our brothers and sisters in uniform, they are going to join us. They have no option but joining us. And we're not going to tolerate them again murdering us. Yeah? We don't have guns. If they have guns, we are not on a military operation somewhere on the frontier. No, we are citizens. This is a national cause. Okay, so they can come there to protect all the paid hooligans that are going to disrupt. Those paid hooligans must be dealt with by the military and the police. However, civilians, wananchi, I'm going to bring my young brothers in primary school, secondary school, doctors, teachers, all of us as one team. They cannot subdue us. They don't even stand a chance. So right now we should be starting, if not already in Nairobi, in the areas around Nairobi. Everyone has packed their snacks, water enough to sustain for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, until Ruto has gone. And then once that is done, then we shall consider leadership. You know, we shall bring on board Mother Karua because she has numbers. We still not deciding whether she leads us. But thank you very much. I have timed out. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Paul, for your submission. Guys, I'm seeing some people there posting on the comment section. They are fundraising for Nani Nani March. Please, we have not, or I have not approved. I mean, or sanctioned anyone to put their personal number there to fundraise. So if you send, that is on you. It is not verified. It is we do not know the individuals doing that in the comment section. Let's be wise. Let's use wisdom. Alicia, welcome to the space.
Hi, thank you. So I'd like to say that the person who spoke right before me was like really making good points, and also I'd also like to say there was someone who said if you don't like you cannot uphold and defend something you have not read. So I think we should all read the Constitution, because we say Ruto must go, but I really don't think that a lot of people understand what happens after Ruto goes. Usually, if the president resigns, we have the vice president, the deputy president holding the seat for a while. So I'd like to say, like, would you people actually really like what's his name? I like that guy to hold the seat. I forgot. Like, what is his name again? Gachagua?
Rigathi
Yeah,
Gachagua.
Gachagua. Like, would you really like this guy to be president again? Because Ruto is not acting on his own. Ruto has his own army of goons acting for him. So it's not just Ruto that must go. I think we are. Um, we're not really like understanding that it's just the whole government that is the problem, and the whole government is working for one man and themselves. So I'd really like to say that as much as we're saying Ruto must go, on the 8th we should be saying that yes, Ruto must go, occupy State House. After that, we have to look for our own leaders. And now we have seen, honestly, I really like did respect Mata Karua until some point, and I feel like after she left here, she left so many questions and answered that I personally would not vote for her, because I think she's lying. But we have no other leaders lined up to say after Ruto must go, what happens next. And also, our military is not people we can trust, because clearly we have seen them killing so many people on the streets. You think our military is going to say, okay, guys, we're going to install a cabinet or a government that's going to work for us, and actually trust those people will lead us with the capacity that we want to be led with? So as much as we are speaking of Nane Nane Ruto must go, we should be thinking ahead as well. And I know that this is like a wet blanket right now, but I really would like to say that we should be thinking ahead, because Ruto could go and we would end up in such a horrible position with people who not only like they are tyrants, but they also want to kill us as like citizens who said Ruto must go. So I'm really sorry for being that wet blanket
Very,
that
very
says
wet
we should all.
blanket. Very, very wet blanket.
I'm really sorry about that, but I think we should also be speaking of like what happens after Nane Nane, because I think personally after we remove Ruto, it's not going to be safe for any of us,
It's
even
going to
the
be
people
very,
who
very
spoke
safe.
in
I
this
beg to
space.
differ. It will be the safest it has ever been. Like Kenya is going to be so
And,
safe, you're going to be shocked. Because right now we're being abducted. Do you understand? Do you understand how many
yes,
dead bodies
absolutely.
are showing up in the morgue?
Absolutely.
245 bullets.
And you think
You think Kenya
Ruto's
is safe?
friends are gonna be safer than him?
We're not saying
Very
they're
The
safe
safe.
though. We are
after
Very
we
saying
safe.
Ruto
remove
Very
should
safe.
go and
Ruto,
the
you
whole
think his
Let,
friends are gonna be
let,
safer than
let
him?
me submit to you.
Safer
It's
option.
going to be very safe. Number one, when you say Ruto must go, it is the presidency. So if Rigathi is somewhere sitting down, smoking a cigar, waiting for the presidency to be handed over to him, he's in for a rude awakening. We are occupying
CBD, the presidency has to go. Ruto and his regime has to go. The constitution says it will fall in a transitional government, and then before we go for elections. And that's why, if you heard Josephine was saying, the government, the military will have to come in to restore order, to restore order, because we are marching. When we're going to be making decisions in real time. When we occupy CBD, occupy State House, we're making decisions in real time. So nobody wants Rigiji to come in over here. And then when it comes time to pick leaders, we will make those decisions when we get there. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Right now, this mountain our plate is full right now. But we know the leaders who have been with us. We can see the individuals who have been part of the movement. We know the politicians and the leaders, whether the technocrats who have integrity. We will discuss that when we get there. But right now, we are convoluting our conversation when you're telling us who are your leaders, what you're going to do, what you're going to do. When we have to be talking about how many of you mobilized. Alicia.
And I don't differ with that.
Yes.
I absolutely do not differ with that. And I'm really sorry if I sounded like I differ with that. I absolutely do not. But as you said, the military would have to step in. Do you guys, any of you guys, really believe in the military
Kenya
to
has the
step into
most
this country and they have
disciplined.
been killing our people?
No. You're thinking of other countries. The KDF is the
He's thinking
most
of the police.
disciplined. Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't confuse the two. There's the police. The military has never shot a Kenyan. The police are the ones. In fact, we feel more safer under the military at this point. The police are the ones who are running rogue, especially the masked ones who are wearing plain clothes and shooting live bullets at protesters who are holding flags, water bottles, and smartphones. So
Thank you for clarifying. And let me just ask another question, and I'm gonna give the mic back to you. I'd also like to say that, okay, now that we're thinking of the military, like, shouldn't we also be speaking of how we will stay safe around, like, maybe I'm just paranoid, and maybe I've just seen the country like go into flames so many times that I'm just like, really, I don't believe it. But I really would like to say that maybe we should be speaking about how we're going to be safe in the hands of the military and the police. Fine, the military is not the police, but if they do act in clashes, how are the people who are going to protest going to be safe? Honestly, and as much as we're saying, oh, go protest, occupy space is State House, how are you, like, how are we going to make sure that our friends are going to be safe, like, in the hands of maybe the military, the police? Like, do you really believe that if you are maybe captured today by the military of Kenya Defense Forces, or the police, do you believe that you will be safe in any of their hands? Let me just give you that question before I continue.
Can
short
I answer
answer.
you?
Are we
Go
safe
ahead,
at
Afro.
this moment? Even in the current situation, are we safe? That's the most important question, first of all, because hatuko safe. Nobody's safe. How are you safe when people are plundering your future? How are you safe when you cannot afford medical bills? How are you safe when education has become as expensive as gold? You know, personally, I don't need safety that is masked by slavery. I would rather die on that day, wallahi, personally. And I'm not advocating for anybody to come out and kill them. No, but we do not. There is no safety in the current situation that we are in. We are actually safer on the streets where when they are not stealing from us.
Ambia Faith amute mic yake, anatupatia feedback kwa background yake na ina irritate masikio. Thank you very much. Anyway, Alicia, let me tell you something. I'm sure you're not in the country, right? I'm sure you're not in the country,
I
right?
actually I
Are you
am
in
in
the
the
country?
country.
Ah,
Like,
interesting. Then
yes,
why are you scared? Why are you paranoid? Have you ever gone for these mandamanos?
I have, yes.
Okay. If you have, na umekunywa tear gas tao hapo CBD, haufai kuwa scared. Juu, I'll tell you for a fact, hii tear gas tumeikunywa, bullets zimepita kando yetu, you've seen bodies drop to the point that we don't fear anymore. We are numb. To be honest, we are numb. Personally, I'm numb. I've seen dead bodies on the streets while covering these protests. Sawa. Me and my boy, this dude in a black and white Avian, it was Escowino Jr. We've seen people getting shot in Tao. We've seen dead bodies in Tao, to the point that we are numb. So kitu tunataka tu ni change. And if we have to go through that, ndio tupate hiyo change, probably hiyo change, the people who will benefit it are the children and the children of our children. Unaget? So, if you feel paranoid in any way, please usikuje Tao, na kuomba, na kusihi. That is your sixth sense speaking to you. Please kaa kwa nyumba. If you feel scared, kaa kwa nyumba. Do not be lured by anyone or anything. Kaa kwa nyumba. Revolution will be televised. It will be televised. At the comfort of your screen. Chukua remote, chukua kahawa, watch. You will see it. For now, we are gonna look for that change on Nane Nane. We're gonna find it wherever it is. And we are not going to relent. Mazee tumepoteza wasee. Adi watu walikuwa kwa watu wameolewa kwa manyumba zao. Was their houses safe? Of course you feel it was safe, but bullets ziliwapata huko. So that tells you it is not about going on the streets. It is about Kenya not being safe at all. Hiyo bullet inaweza kupata hata kama uko 8th floor kwa nyumba yako. Sawa. So at the end of the day, we are fighting for a better country. We want a country that our taxes will work for us. We want a government that has to be kept accountable. We want leaders that will be kept accountable. We want a country that will run the way the constitution permits it to run. Understand? So please, and I'm glad you've said that you're paranoid. Yes, you're paranoid. Sit in the house. And it's not bad to be paranoid. Now, I'm not fighting you. No, it's okay to feel scared. Probably you've seen things that you're not used to. Sit in the house, chill, relax. We will fight for you. Sawa. Na mtu asikupiga ati juu unaogopa. Not everybody has the same spirit. For us who are confident enough to go on the streets, we will go and fight for you and for the children and the children of our children. Thank you very much.
Western, you want to go ahead?
Thank you so much for answering my questions, and thank you, Ayo, for saying that. Thank you.
Afrocentric, thank you so much for giving me another opportunity. Alicia, I think perhaps it escaped your notice. If you read yesterday's Daily Nation, it says that there's a very disturbing story there, but some of us have known it. It's not news. We've known it all along because we follow developments in Kenya. Kenya ranks 4th in Africa with the highest maternal mortality burden. 4th in Africa. What does that mean? It means Kenyan women lose lives senselessly during childbirth, owing to complications. Could be lack of equipment, lack of medicine, lack of proper training, just negligence, or just a decrepit health infrastructure. Can you imagine? Like, it's not like some other country should be 4th. That's not what I'm saying. No country should be on such a ranking in the world. Yes. And what's the conclusion? That Kenya is not going to meet sustainable development goals. We didn't meet Millennium Development Goals. Of course, we have a problem. Who sets these goals? And why should somebody set us? These are the goals you have to meet. I mean, we must look, what is it that is in the best interest of our people? So this is carnage already. This is carnage. How can somebody say that they would be unsafe in the aftermath of the collapse of a government that cannot protect human life, cannot protect the life of expectant women, expectant mothers? Why? Why wouldn't it be safe? Secondly, even when people are not protesting in Kenya, if you care to read reports by non-governmental agencies, both in Kenya locally and international, vis-a-vis human rights, you will learn that extrajudicial and summary executions take place on a daily basis. The Kenyan police rank amongst the worst in executing people. They don't need protests to kill people. Go to those informal settlements and find out what goes on there. They take you out summarily. So you are not safe already under the current circumstances. The government cannot protect your life, cannot uphold the sanctity of life, cannot enforce the constitution. How are you safe where there's lawlessness? And life is cheap in Kenya already. So could anybody be paranoid and jittery? What will become of Kenya in the event the government collapses? It's already bad for many people. Life is cheap, very brutish, very short, very nasty, pretty much like what you would call state of nature. Military. My fellow compatriots, I wish to caution you against the evocation of the military. The military, the police, the intelligence, you can name these NIS people and these people who are abducting Kenyans, hooded people. We call those, it's what the state uses to assert itself and to browbeat its opponents into line. Well, perhaps we don't remember. Do people remember what the Kenyan military did in Mount Elgon? I think it was around 2008. Do you remember? Perhaps you don't. Massive atrocities. When they were sent to Mount Elgon, supposedly on a counter-insurgency mission. Massive. Initially, the people in Mount Elgon welcomed them. They thought they had gone there to save them against some insurrection. Sabaot Land Defense Forces, led by somebody called MATIANG'I or something. Read, find out the atrocities that were committed. Men and young women, young men and men, boys and men, if you like, were taken to wherever. Those who came back had harrowing stories to tell. Others just disappeared. There isn't past, not too long ago. The military cannot be your ally, especially if you at the same time you talk about democracy. You can't in the same breath talk about democracy, the rule of law, and at the same time invoke the military and invite them into government, into governance. You can't do that. They're immiscible. The military are not friends to the people of Egypt. Egypt has been under successive military regimes. They are not their friends. The military were not friends of the people of Nigeria. And they were under military regimes since the 60s until 99. They were never their friends. They are not the friends of the people of Zimbabwe. And they were very integral in the deposition of Mugabe just the other day. They can't be. I tell you, they cannot. Whenever you invite the military and you think they are your allies, you're losing the point. The military must remain in the barracks. To finish, there's this notion that the Kenyan military is professional compared to other military. I will tell you what a professional military does. I will tell you what they do. What a professional military does is that, for instance, in the 2007-2008 post-election violence, when the country was degenerating into unmitigated civil war, a professional military will step in and say, there were no elections here, we are suspending everything, there will be some interim structures, fresh elections will be held, and Kenyans will have to elect somebody of their own choice. They didn't do that. Why? Because in a corrupt society, where the state is corrupt, why would you think the military will not be ensnared in corruption networks? Why would you think so? Well, I'll just ask you one simple question. How many of you people know of somebody in Kenya who had an ambition to join the military, just woke up and said, there's a recruitment in that shopping center or in the stadium in the town, and went, met all the requirements, and was recruited? How many of you people know such people? How many? But when the recruitment is taking place, you hear things like, oh, don't give money to so-and-so, don't give money, it's illegal. Why do those campaigns run? Why do they run? Because they know the process is mired in corruption. That campaign in and of itself is indicative that the process of recruitment into the military is mired in corruption. That's why Kenyans are sensitized. Don't give anybody money. Please don't. Why? Because they know people receive money. And they receive money and they get people recruited in the military. So how would people who get recruited into the military be professional? How can they be professional? Of course, you entered this institution corruptly. You can only be corrupt. You are not going to be loyal to the country. You'll be loyal to the person who engineered your recruitment. And why would you think a government, a state that is ethnicized, that the military that is integral to controlling the levers of power would be immune to ethnicization? Why do you think that? Why? It can't be. Because they will get rid of you. They will get rid of you. If you allow the military to operate professionally, then you cannot engage in sleaze and the things that you see state actors do in Kenya, because they'll get rid of you. What do? You first have to corrupt them. Then you can proceed to your corruption. Maybe because okay, this is your cut. Look the other side. So they can't be your friends. They can't be your friends. They are part and parcel of those networks, much as you don't want to admit that. But in a democracy, people discuss every other institution because every other institution operates under the rule of law and it's under civilian oversight. Whether you carry weapons, the police in Kenya, they don't think they're under civilian oversight. That's why they shoot people. But in a democracy, you are under civilian oversight because the weapons you carry are to protect life, to ensure there's law and order. When people are protesting in a democracy, the police come to provide security. They don't ask you how many protesters will come to the streets. And if anything is damaged, you are going to be held accountable. No, they don't ask that. They know it's their mandate to protect the protesters, to ensure there's law and order, to ensure property is not destroyed, because the protesters are exercising their inalienable constitutional right to protest. And the police, the military, are not loyal to the government. They are loyal to the people. They are loyal to the collective well-being, to the national good in a democracy. So they can't be our allies. And we don't even want them to be our allies. We don't. We just want them to adhere to the rule of law, to the constitution, not to be our allies. We are not looking for that. Don't. And the other thing is about the constitution. The constitution does not have to be defended. My fellow compatriots, I hear that a lot. You don't, because the constitution is clear. If you break it, you wait for the consequences, or if it's a moral question, you bow out and you take political responsibility or moral responsibility. What does that mean? You may be a minister of transport. You wake up one morning, two public transport vehicles collided and there was carnage. People lost their lives. As a minister of transport, you resign. But in Kenya, minister of transport will not resign because they'll ask you, was I driving any of those vehicles? No, I wasn't. But when the rule of law upholds, you resign because as a minister of transport, you don't have to preside over loss of lives. The constitution is clear. You have to defend life, you ensure the roads are safe. If you're a minister of police and the police shoot people, there's carnage, the way it's happening in Kenya, you resign. Because your role is not to preside over carnage, extrajudicial executions. That's the law. So where we say, oh, defend the constitution. No, you don't have to defend the constitution. The constitution defends itself.